You are listening to episode 111 of the Confident Coaches podcast, the one where you drop your delusions about making money and confidence. Let's go, coach. Welcome to the Confident Coaches podcast, a place for creating the self-confidence you need to do your best work as a life coach. If you want to bring more boldness, more resilience, and more joy to your work, this is the place for you. I'm your host, Amy Latta. Let's dive in. Hi, Coach. How are you? I hope you're doing amazingly. It is Christmas week, and I'm so excited to have you all here. My voice is back and doing fabulously. I hope you are too. This is the second to the last episode of the year. It's crazy. 2021 is almost a wrap. We'll talk more about that next week. This week, all right, so listen, I'm going to need you to pull up a chair and know that everything I'm about to say over the course of this next episode is coming from a place of absolute love, because I'm about to slap you over the airwaves. So I have just come off of the past 3 weeks. We have gone through step-by-step of the path to 100K process. So the Confident Coaches Mastermind, which is the paid program that you work with me in the process of creating your first $100,000 as a life coach. That's what you're going to find inside the mastermind. It is your path to 100K. Now, that process from the past 3 episodes is mindset plus action plus evaluation. And yet. So the funny thing is about this podcast topic today is that I'm starting to see, this is not the first time I've approached this subject, and I'm going to drop different versions of this podcast and this subject until I get it through your beautiful, precious, thick skull. All right? So the TLDR, the too long don't read on this one, is that it does not matter what you have already created or what you have not created. The moment you are listening to this podcast right now is a brand new moment. You can literally create whatever you want in a moment by deciding, starting right now. It does not matter what you have or have not done up until this point. You got it? You got it. Now let's talk about why. Okay? I say that this is not the first time that we've had this conversation, but I'm going to come at it from a different angle. And just so you know, it is my opinion that there are an endless number of angles to come at this, because I really do think this is the crux of the struggle that so many people have when it comes to confidence. Is this like this delusion? Results need to be there in order for me to feel confident, and I'm delusional if they're not. So I'm talking about specifically when you're sitting there on any given moment during the work week looking at your coaching business and you're thinking, nothing I do ever works. Like, I keep trying and it is not working. I've been at this for 6 months. I've been at this for a year. I've been at this for years. And how many of you are fighting for your own disappointment? It's like you're arguing with me at how can I possibly believe that you can create your results, that thoughts create feelings, drive actions, create results. Like, you're arguing with me that the only thing you don't need to change is your thinking. And here's the funny thing is, like, so many will say, I've been changing my thinking, Amy, and it's not working. So the simplest answer to that is you're not really changing your thinking. And what often is happening here is you're trying to force a thought that maybe we come up with in a coaching session, or you hear somebody else use to create their $100,000 thought. That's a pretty common thing that you hear. What's the thought that got you to $100,000? You hear somebody else's and you try it on. So you're trying to like cram it into your brain. And I'm going to make this work. I'm going to force myself to believe it. And you're right. That's never going to work for you, right? It is never going to work to force thought, to see thought work, to see mindset work as an action item. Check. I looked at my thoughts. I didn't like them. I wrote down new thoughts. Where are my results? And again, that path to 100K process is mindset plus action plus evaluation. And sometimes it's so crystal clear what mindset work you need to work on. And a couple of episodes back, I went through the variety of mindset options that you learn when you attend the 3-day live event that kicks off the 6-month mastermind that we're in the midst of enrolling for the next round of that mastermind that starts in February 2022. We're going to meet live in person in St. Louis. And we get there and we kind of go down, like, what are the different mindsets that I could choose to work on? Belief plan, value plan, etc. We went through in depth in that just a couple of episodes back. And what's amazing is that when you're stuck on nothing seems to be working, when it comes to talking about celebrations, when it does come to talk about, well, let's dive into what is working, our minds just go blank. We've completely forget all of the mindset work that we've been practicing when we get into the evaluations, and we're just so focused and so fighting for. But let's look at all the things that aren't working, because the results that you want in order to feel confident aren't there. And that's it right there. I want you to imagine not needing results in order to feel confident in your ability to create those results. It's like the moment you truly release the need to have the results in your presence, in your ability to believe that you can do this, the clients that are inevitable, that it can happen at any moment, that this is working, this is in fact working, no matter what you see in front of you. The moment you release the need for the results to be there in order for you to believe, that is when your results will start happening. As soon as you release the need for the results to be there, and you just focus on believing and feeling confident in that belief, that is actually when the results will start to happen. Now, some of you can create a shit ton of results and not 100% do that. You can actually create a lot of brilliance with a half-managed mind. I know, because I've done it. You can be full of doubt and still have belief and still create results. But it's not actually uncommon to come up against no new clients month after month, and your belief is wavering, and you will argue for your own mediocrity. You will argue for your own frustration and disappointment and inadequacy. And my simplest question is why? And what I hear the most common reason is, well, I don't want to be delusional. The facts are I've been at this for a year and I've either had no clients or I've only had a couple of clients. And yes, I will make you give you the facts of what you mean by, and I haven't done anything. Well, let's talk about what you have done something. But what your brain will focus on is that it's delusional to believe that I am on my path to a 100K when I've created $2,500 in a year. And the fact of the matter is I just simply don't believe that. I will pull up all my past income. In fact, I frequently share all of my years. That year I made $1,200. That year I made $6,000. And yet I was on my path to 100K. So you can argue for how you aren't on the path, but I would just ask freaking why. Why choose it's delusional? And why are you choosing to define delusional as I keep trying and not getting there? Because to me, delusional is staying right there. To me, it's delusional to think you have to have proof you can do something you've not done before. That to me seems delusional. Let me have proof that I'm a brilliant parent before I become a brilliant parent. Let me have proof I can graduate top of my class in college with honors before I do it. Isn't that delusional? Isn't it delusional if every single thing in your life that you have ever done brand new, you had required proof that you were going to do it? That just doesn't even make sense, right? I really want you to imagine that you're graduating from law school and you are an attorney for the first time, but you've never actually tried a case before. And you have no proof that you can actually successfully try a case. Can you imagine if you just decided to believe ahead of time that you were going to be terrible and awful and we were going to lose the case? And we as a society would not support that. Oh, let's forget the lawyer. Let's think about a surgeon. Imagine if we all said to a surgeon, I don't know, until you have the proof that you're not going to kill someone on the operating table, I really don't think you can do it. We would literally never say that. And that's what you were fighting for. And I really don't care if the rest of society or your mom or your husband is falling into that category. Imagine this. Until you prove to me that you don't kill somebody on the operating table, I'm pretty much assuming you're going to do it. We just wouldn't say that to somebody doing something brave and fabulous and brilliant for the first time. Now, some people would, but why would we listen to them? We don't have to listen to those people. Why are you listening to it, and why are you telling yourself that? And I'm thinking about the other reason that I hear about why you would argue for your own disappointment and argue for needing the results. And it makes total sense using the surgeon analogy again. We would never tell a brand new surgeon who's never cut someone open before, I don't know, you spent an awful lot of money on this whole surgeon thing and you haven't proven that you're not just going to kill somebody the second you open them up. I think maybe you should probably just go get another job where there's less risk. Surgeons invest hundreds of thousands of dollars in their education before they ever go do the thing. We would never, ever go, I don't know. I think you've really put way too much. You should probably go earn this money back some other way before you decide you can do it this way. And yet, so many of you do that. I've already invested so much. I need to go make that money back before I continue on. We would never have that conversation with somebody else, so why are you having that conversation with yourself? It is not delusional. I don't care how many days or weeks or months or years it's been for you to go all in on your belief that your path to 100K is inevitable and you're on it right now and it's just waiting for you. Because while so many of you are fighting for that it's delusional, you could be making a list of all the damn wins that you have had in your column. See what you have created, how many posts you have created, how much content you have created, how many consult calls have you created, how many clients, how many dollars. That is evidence of what you are capable of. Why would you choose not to focus on that when you are working towards something you've never done before? And of course, as I say that, I know your next hookup might be, but it's not enough. It should be more in the time frame that I've given it. And why? Says who? By what measure? Because there is no measure in this industry. There is no, you should be here by this time point. Unlike a surgeon who, if they do go the straight track, there are X number of years before they should be where they should be. And it's a lot of years. I don't know, 8, 10, 14. I don't remember the last time I watched Grey's Anatomy. That's the extent of my knowledge. But in the life coaching industry, there's no standard. First of all, how many coaches who will never get to the point where you are, where you have already created what you have created? You're already a step above. The fact that you're listening to this podcast tells me that you're already a step above. And how many quote unquote overnight success stories have you followed only to find out that that person was toiling away for 10 years or so? I definitely fall into this category. People think I kind of came out of nowhere in 2018, but I started coaching people in 2013. It was 5 years. 5 years, 2 years of which the only money that I made was commissions on direct sales products. And then there was that year I made $1,200, and there was that year I made $6,000. The next year when I finally made $18,000, and then it was the following year that I made $100,000. And I think these stories are important because we're like, I've been at it for 6 months and I haven't signed any clients. And I'm literally looking at you going, so? Why have you decided that that's the measure? Again, why are you fighting for your own frustration and your own disappointment when you don't have to? And yes, there will be people who decided to become a coach at the beginning of this year and are already going to be at 6 figures by the end of the year. Wonderful for them. Why are you using what they created against you when you can just as easily use what they created for you? and see that it is possible that results can happen in a moment. You just have to do that mindset plus action plus evaluation work. And it's the same line of thinking when it comes with money. I've spent too much money to keep investing. Guys, the entire reason you haven't made any investments back that you might have already made is the entire reason to invest in confidence coaching. Is because you thought the investment was going to create the results. You thought the training was going to create the results. You thought the coach you hired was going to create the results. No, it's you. It's you letting go of the need to have results in order to feel confident in your ability to create results. That's your work. What are you believing about you and your coaching and your clients? What kind of work have you done around the value of your coaching? What's the value of a call with you? What's the value of a consult with you? What's the value of working with you for 12 weeks or 24 weeks? How is it the most valuable thing your clients can do? What do you believe about yourself as a salesperson selling coaching to your audience? What do you believe about yourself as a businesswoman and entrepreneur? How often are you going into your mind to discover what you do know and what you are sure of in order to solve why you haven't created more results than what you have already created up to this point? Like, imagine that the Wright brothers decided that they'd failed too many times and it was taking too long and that they'd spent too much money to get this newfangled flying machine in the air. Like, people for sure thought they were delusional and they were wasting time and money. Like, how many times did they crash and burn and then they had to reevaluate it until they got it? The funny thing is your work is the same, but you just don't have to literally crash and burn like maybe they did in order for you to evaluate and learn what it is going to take for you. It really starts with deciding that the most delusional thing that you can do right now is insist on having results first in order to feel confident. That's the most delusional thing that you can do. Drop the delusion and truly see literally everything that you've ever done in your life. You hadn't created it before you did, but you believed that you could. This is no different. And you're going to celebrate literally every single win. You're going to own all of the good and all of the not working so that you can use that powerful GG brain, that forward-thinking mind to decide what to do next. And to see that it only takes longer when you don't do this work, and it only takes longer when you don't invest in a peer group that's going to call you out on what's not working with your mindset. And they're going to help you discover those thoughts that you're believing, those rules that you think you have to follow that you don't, that judgment that you've been avoiding. They're going to help you see that. Because your results do not create the confidence. There are too many coaches with fabulous results and shit confidence who are constantly needing more and more results in order to maintain a certain level of confidence, or who see their results as a fluke because they aren't evaluating and taking ownership of everything that they create. So this is where we drop the delusion. This is where I really want you to evaluate. Why am I insisting on having results in order for me to believe I can create the results? Because it's literally the opposite. This is your opportunity to decide that no matter what you created in the year 2021, from this moment forward, you get to decide what you're going to create in the last week of this year and in 2022. That's what confident coaches do. We take responsibility for literally everything that we create, celebrating every win along the way, all while having our own back in the process. If you really do believe you're going to make $100,000 and there's a coach and it's in you, and you just find yourself getting tripped up on these things that we've talked about, and you also don't want to need that $100,000 in the bank in order for you to feel confident about creating it, then apply for Confident Coaches Mastermind. amylatta.com/mastermind. We are still enrolling right now for February 2022. I love you all too much for you to just be arguing for your own discomfort, arguing for your own disappointment. It's time to drop the delusion. It's delusional to believe you should have the results before you can believe it, not the other way around. And until next week, my friends, let's go fuck some shit up.
Coaches, I have created a brand new freebie offer just for you podcast listeners. I created a brand new training called Stop Overcomplicating Confidence because I see my coaches do it all the time, make this confidence thing way harder than it has to be. In this free training, you're going to learn exactly how you overcomplicate confidence, what's creating that, and how to stop it. Here's the best part. All of it, less than an hour. Less than an hour of your time. You will feel more confident in less than an hour, right? Yeah, friends, this is the best training I've ever done. So visit amylatta.com/podcast gift to get yours. Again, that's amylatta.com/podcast gift. Go now and feel more confident in just an hour.
Thanks so much for listening to the Confident Coaches podcast. I invite you to learn more. Come visit me at amylatta.com. And until next week, let's go do epic stuff.